May the 6th, 2021. Guys, most of you have probably heard of the Chinese rocket that's supposed to come back down to Earth in the next couple of days. They're saying possibly Friday or Saturday. And the Chinese launched a spacecraft, and they used this 100-foot long, I think it weighs over 10 tons, section that's falling to propel the spacecraft into orbit. It says the U.S. Space Command is tracking debris from the Long March 5B, which last week launched the main module of China's first permanent space station into orbit. The roughly 30-meter or 100-foot long stage would be among the biggest space sections or debris to fall to Earth. It says the nonprofit federally funded Aerospace Corps said it expects the debris to hit the Pacific near the equator after passing over eastern U.S. cities. The orbit covers a swath of the planet from New Zealand to Newfoundland, and the U.S. Defense Department expects it to fall to Earth on Saturday, though where it will hit cannot be pinpointed, they're saying, until within hours of re-entry. Now, China did this, I think it was last year. Now, China's space agency has yet to say whether the rocket is being controlled or will make an out-of-control descent. But the Global Times, published by the Chinese Communist Party, has claimed the rocket thin-skinned aluminum alloy exterior will easily burn up in the atmosphere, posing an extremely remote risk to people. Jonathan McDowell, astrophysicist at Harvard University, has predicted some pieces of the rocket will survive re-entry, and it would be the equivalent of a small plane crash scattered over 100 miles. Last time they launched a Long March 5B rocket, they ended up with big, long rods of metal flying through the sky and damaging several buildings along the Ivory Coast. Now, this rocket that's coming down now was launched on April 29th. Hasn't been up that long. China plans 10 more launches to carry additional parts of the space station into orbit. What it is, they've got what's called the module of Tianhe, or the Heavenly Harmony is the name of their new space station. Now, the ESA, or the European Space Agency, has chimed in, and they're saying it's going to be hard to pinpoint when and where the rocket will come down. Their current estimates are between May the 8th and May the 10th. The rocket's trajectory means that any parts that survive re-entry will land between 41 degrees north and 41 degrees south, a strip of Earth that runs from southern regions of Spain, Portugal, and Italy down to Australia. Again, you can see how the different space agencies are not coming together on this. Some are saying near the equator after it crosses the east coast. Craig said it was not possible to predict how much of the rocket would survive re-entry without having design details of the Long March 5B first stage. A rough rule of thumb derived from the more detailed analysis of known objects, but not necessarily compatible, suggests that between 20 and 40% of the dry mass can survive. So anywhere between 2 tons, 4 tons. Guys, and let me say this. Some reports are saying that the total weight of that section is not 10 tons, but 22 tons. So you can estimate 20 to 40% of that. But what you're looking at is a link that's been on our website at bpearthwatch.com for years. It's called Sat Tracker. It's on the right. If you'll go to the page, look on your right, there's eSword, and right under eSword is Sat Tracker. Now, what you'll have to do is you'll have to put in the satellite that you're tracking. And this one is actually debris, but it's listed as CZ-5BRB. There's a lot of traffic on that particular site now, so it may take you a minute to get in. But what you're seeing is the orbit of the satellite, or the debris, and the last orbit. And the way this map is set out in the tracking, you can see where the sun is, the U.S., South America, it's now daylight. And then the satellite is in the nighttime sky coming into the Pacific Ocean off very close to Japan. It's off the coast now. And you can tell that it will probably orbit down and through the southwestern United States, so we don't know exactly what time or what orbit. But this thing travels around the Earth every 88.9 minutes, so it's moving very fast. So the altitude is 253 miles right now. You can see this right there. And that altitude is going to change because as these debris or satellites orbit the Earth, it's not a perfect circle. They start to decline, pick up speed, and it's a more of an elongated orbit, guys, so that you'll see the altitude change, go down, and then come back up as it's going through that slingshot and that going into that elongated orbit. So, but as this thing gets down to below 100 miles and start getting into that area, you're going to start seeing it start to burn into the upper atmosphere. 80 to 100 miles, there's going to be, most of the damage will be done at that point. Depending on if it's just a cylinder, it will be more aerodynamic. I've seen some of these satellites where it rips off the solar panels and all of that external debris as it re-enters. But again, the last time one of these rockets came back down, or rocket bodies, you saw these long pieces of metal slicing through buildings in Africa. But we'll just have to wait and see. I wanted to update it, guys. But again, if you go to bpearthwatch.com, if you go to the website, again, bpearthwatch.com, scroll down on your right, there's some very good articles that Tina puts in here every couple of days. But if you keep coming down, you'll see the top link on the right side is eSword, the free Bible software. The second one is called Sat Tracker. You click there. Remember, you got to put in the search box in the top right, CZ-5B. And sometimes adding the word rocket can help, just if you're searching for it. But anyway, I wanted to update that. Again, dealing with more than likely there will be debris hitting the planet. We don't know if it's going to be over the water or on land, but if you're sending metal shafts and long pieces of metal through buildings, it can be dangerous. I think there's some problems between Washington now and China over this. They're saying it's kind of careless to be doing that. You know, they're waiting on disaster to happen because they're going to be launching a bunch of these rockets in the future. We'll just see, guys. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.